Help for an old guy. I'm a widower who is approaching 80. My wife died about a year and a half ago. We were married for over 50 years and I miss her very much. I live in a large retirement community and I've recently received a note from a woman who lives here who told me she is done with me. I barely know this woman. We have had dinner twice. Once I was assigned to a table where she was sitting and once she asked me to have dinner with her. I accepted. I suspect now that was a mistake. I'm not ready for a new relationship and frankly, I doubt I ever will be. I think about my late wife every day. Sometimes I think about her every hour. I do not believe that I'm depressed. I can carry on with my daily life pretty well, actually. I keep busy. I have family in the area and I see them often. I manage my own affairs and I have other friends. I just do not want to deal with a female companion. I've been thinking of answering her note as politely as possible, explaining my situation, but I do not want to give her any hint that I'm trying to start a relationship. I just want to say I'm sorry if I offended her, but I meant no harm. It is just that I intended to go through life single from now on. Should I do this or should I just ignore the letter and hope she goes away? I secretly wish that my cousin wasn't related to me so I can date him. I'm currently 19 female, he is 22 male, and the most beautiful person on the planet, both inside and out. We first met when I was 16 and I had an instant crush on him. And I didn't know about him, but when he turned 21 and our family went out to drink, he told me in secret that I was the most beautiful girl he'd ever seen. Although I was so happy, I knew better than to do anything and then chalked it up to him being drunk. The next day, he sent me the text, "Drunk talks are sober thoughts," and that he didn't regret telling me that. Now, we have this weird thing where we meet up, talk, and pretend like we're a couple, after we drive away far from our hometown and drive back home low-key disgusted with ourselves. Every family meeting is super awkward because we're paranoid our parents can sense what we're doing and we act super distant. They have no clue though. I wish I could just turn this off because I know it's wrong, but I can't. I sent an application for a college out of state, so maybe I can get out of this situation. I know this might gross people out, but I just needed to get this off my chest.
So in senior high school, Form 1 first term, there was a girl sitting beside me in class. Let's call her Sandra. Now, Sandra's head was always on her desk. At first, I thought she was sleeping, or maybe she likes to sleep. But one day, I heard her crying and I asked her if she was okay. That was when she told me she has a condition called hole in heart, which means she has a hole in her heart. And because of her condition, she cannot do anything hectic. I felt so sorry for her and I told her I've got her back always. We got very close after that. Soon, everyone in the class knew about her condition. And everyone did their best to make her feel comfortable. Now, Sandra told me she was from a very rich family. And in fact, her father drives a Jaguar. And her father lived in Port Harcourt where he sells cars. So yeah, they were very loaded. Now, because of her condition, sometimes I have to run errands for her. And when there was too much noise in the class, she'll just signal me and I'll tell everyone to keep quiet. And everyone will bring down their voices for her just to make her comfortable. One day, Sandra was not in school for a whole week. I got very worried and I thought her condition might have gotten worse. There was this girl in another class that she always went home with. So a few of my friends and I decided to ask her if Sandra was okay. But then the girl told her Sandra was not in school because of school fees. So I was like, but she's rich. But the girl just laughed. So I asked her about her hole in heart condition. And the girl said she has no idea about what I was talking about. And then she said if we are really worried about her, Sandra lives very close to the school. She said she'll give us the direction to her house so that we can go check on her. So the whole class decided to go and visit her at break time. When we got to her house, the house was actually made of roofing sheets. And they saw kinky there. You know how all those traditional kinky houses look? Yeah. We saw her standing in the middle of the house, hanging some things on the clothesline. And immediately she saw us, she raced into the house. I wanted us to leave after that. But one of my friends was like, no. She said Sandra has to reap what she has sown. So she went straight to a group of women in the middle of the house who were making kinky. And she told them we are there to visit Sandra because of her heart condition. The women looked very confused. So one of the women who looked like her shouted for her to come out. And she took forever to come out. All this while my friend was still talking to the woman. She told them she wanted to see Sandra's father's Jaguar. And the women were even confused. They didn't even know what a Jaguar was. So she told them that Jaguar was a car. And that Sandra said her father sells car in Port Harcourt. By this time, Sandra was out of the room. The woman told her Sandra was a liar. And that everything she has told us was a lie. They told us to go back to school and that they would deal with her. So when she finally came back to the school, nobody wanted to associate with her. I left the school not long after this, so I don't really know what happened to her. And I don't know why she had to lie like that. So yeah, that is the story of Sandra. Just be yourself, babes. Everyone else is taken.
I stole my then best friend's wedding cake the day of the wedding. My 28 female, best friend 31 female was supposed to have her wedding in mid-January. It was scheduled to be a very lavish wedding, the theme being blue because she didn't want to have white on white with the snow. My best friend was being quite a bridezilla the days leading up to her wedding, and bridezilla is not quite the word for the day of. She was being a complete bitch for lack of better words. My task, of course, was going to be something simple for someone who had done so much to help me. Her words. This task was very much not simple. The drive to the bakery was a 45-minute trip each way, and the bride suggested I drive slowly to avoid the cake being messed up. So I would have to take a separate route, which would end up being around an hour and 15 minutes on the trip back with the cake. I got up bright and early at 6 a.m. and began the trip shortly thereafter. By the time I got back to the venue with the hotels everyone was staying in, it was about 9 o'clock. So, as I'm unloading the cake, the bride's mom starts to look uneasy. I thought it was because it was freezing outside, but she called over my best friend and she went absolutely berserk. Well, somehow, she failed to inform the cake decorator that she would like the cake to be a matching blue color as well. How does one forget to do this? She adamantly denied that she forgot to inform the decorator of the color, but this was only one of many other grievances from the bride that were her own fault, that she very much blew up at and did not acknowledge that they were her fault. My best friend got all up in my face and told me I needed to go back ASAP. I obliged. I made the trip back to the decorator and profusely apologized as I explained the situation. Apparently no big deal on a big wedding day for someone else and a slow day for cake decorator. I FaceTimed with my friend the whole time so she could see how everything was going. She seemed very pleased over the phone and said it was perfect. I paid for the touch-up on the cake out of pocket and left. I got back to the venue at around 12 o'clock. My friend saw the cake being set up and immediately blew up once again. She accused me of swapping out the cake she had seen over the call for a different, shittier version. She didn't even let me get one more word in as she backed me into my car seat and made other people pack the cake in the back. She told me to come back with the correct cake or I would just be cut from the wedding. I took my chances and just drove home. I put my phone on silent and ate the cake with my boyfriend and our families. Nobody knows the real story of why I had a wedding cake randomly on a Sunday night for dinner except for my boyfriend, and I don't feel guilty.
Am I the asshole for telling my parents I'm not going to help them out ever again and they're on their own now? Disclaimer, this is not my story. I'm the oldest in my family. I had 2 siblings. My sister died when she was 6 in a sudden infant death syndrome. I was 5 at the time. When I was 6, they had my brother. From a young age, my brother showed concerning behavior, and over the years it only got worse. He's very destructive and angry and has been in and out of our local children's hospital for psych evaluations and behavioral assessments since he was 4 years old. The police have been called to our house many times before to help get him under control. He's never been formally diagnosed, but he was medicated a few times to sedate him and try to curb his outburst. My life was on hold because of all of this. I was not allowed to have friends over. I was not allowed to attend birthday parties until I was old enough to walk there myself. Money was tight and it meant sacrificing a lot. I was 9 years old when I last celebrated my birthday with my family, and once I hit 9 years old, there was nothing again until I was 13. Am I the asshole for telling my parents I'm never going to help them out ever again and they're on their own now? Disclaimer, this is not my story. And even when I turned 13, I had to ask for no gifts because anything I had was broken by my brother. It was a nightmare. My parents would often leave me in charge so they could get a break, and then my life was hell. Once I was 12, I was considered old enough to watch him while my mom got groceries, even though I was not old enough to hang out with my friends. By age 14, it was hours at night and a few times overnight. I was not prepared and our house was destroyed every time. I moved out as soon as I could and I have distanced myself from my family. My parents have tried to keep in touch, but I'm bitter towards them for my childhood. They have made excuses for why they made certain decisions and now they need my help. My brother has gotten worse and they haven't had a break in 7 months. They want me to babysit for a few hours or a night so they can get a break. I told them no and they said they need my help. That's when I said that I would never help them again and they were on their own. They told me I was being unfair. They asked me how I could do this to them.
I'm the asshole for calling my brother's girlfriend a gold digger. He is very wealthy and I just don't want him to get hurt. My brother is 26 and recently started dating this girl. He had only one serious relationship before. After they broke up, he was heartbroken. Recently, and I mean less than 2 months ago, he met this girl on Hinge and literally just fell in love. He's already talking about meeting her family at Thanksgiving and proposing to her on her birthday in June. Here's the thing, I don't trust this girl. My brother started a computer vision company when he was at Stanford. He decided to drop out and work on that full time, and over the last few years, it exploded. It's valued at $300 million and is doing really well. He doesn't leave the office until 8 p.m., but now he's logging off at 7 p.m. and leaves the office to go spend time with her. And people have started to notice and saying that he's being distracted. Everyone is worried because they left their really big jobs to go start with this one. And I just think that she's a really big distraction. Recently I met her for the first time and I was shocked. She's super sweet and nice and makes pretty good money as well. She seems to be very spoiled as well. When I got to her place, I commented on her decor and said, I can see why you want to marry my brother, because someone needs to fund your life. My brother got upset and was livid with me, and he asked me to apologize.